All right, James, I appreciate you joining me on this call. And this is James Derry. He is our branch manager and all things ninja of Lafayette, Georgia. So appreciate you being on here, James. And speaking of Lafayette, Georgia, tell us, when did we open up and what areas are you serving down there real quick for anybody watching?
We originally opened up at beginning of October. We service just below Marietta up into Cleveland, Soddy Daisy area in the southern sections of Tennessee.
So you guys are a little bit Chattanooga, even creeping into some parts of eastern Alabama, based out of Lafayette, Georgia.
Yes,
so
sir.
if you're in those areas of North Georgia and need some help from Crawl Space Ninja, we're heavy into foundation repair, basement waterproofing. Tell us a little bit about that as well, if you don't mind.
We do helical underpinning. We do some resistance piers, depends on what your house is and what we're dealing with. We also do carbon fiber straps, which are quite a bit stronger than actual steel. It helps us to be able to stabilize a bowing wall. We do soil anchors, pull a wall back or be able to stabilize that wall from being able to bow in or shear. A lot of exciting things in the foundation field. Really a place that I really myself like to call home. I enjoy foundation work tremendously.
Very good. Well, we're going to walk through an inspection that we did, and we're going to call this homeowner Tom. And basically, James is going to take us through what the inspection was like, what some of the issues that was found there. We thought it'd be really nice for you as viewers to see exactly what it is we're looking for. And then we got some after photos that we'll post. So James, if you don't mind, take us through this home for Tom, what all was found and what the recommended repairs were.
We were actually called out for water intrusion, mold, fungal growth, things like that. So one of the first things we like to do is talk with the customer and get the customer's point of view of what's going on and what they're experiencing. But then we like to be able to get underneath there and take a look at things. So you'll notice where they've got the hygrometer out, we're looking to find out what that relative humidity is. As we all have learned through watching Mr. Church's videos, is that humidity absolutely matters. It can drive the higher the moisture, the higher the chance for that fungal growth. That fungal growth can cause a lot of different problems, i.e. it can cause wood damage, health problems, a lot of different issues. One thing that we're looking for are the dropped insulation that we're looking at. You're looking at a lot of insulation that's dropping or hanging down over the time. A lot of things can make insulation do that. One, just not hung correctly. Two, too much moisture makes them too heavy. That'll cause them to drop. Age, deterioration. In this situation like this, where you can start to see fungal growth, if you look around the blocking, you can actually see where there's gotten some moisture to that. You see how you see the different colors in that blocking.
You're talking about on the foundation wall, is that correct?
Yes, sir. On that foundation wall. So we're looking at an area obviously that's got very high moisture and very high humidity. We're 63% high humidity in that crawl space. We're looking at an area where we've got insulation failing all the way around us. You're looking at a situation where you can obviously see that there's been moisture in this crawl space. Just looking at the lines on the cinder block wall, you see the white crusting is coming through there. That's always good signs that we've had moisture.
Can I interrupt you just for 1 second, there, James? I think that's a great point you're making here. You know, the homeowner may or may not have a hygrometer. They may not, even physically be able to get into the crawl space. But if you got a decent enough flashlight, you can shine to the back of that crawl space and you can start to see that discoloration on the foundation walls, the efflorescence, the insulation falling out from the joist. Those are all signs of moisture problems. So you can call us out to verify, but if you see these things in your crawl space, you should start being suspect that there's something going on down there and maybe have a professional take a look at it, right? Would you say that, James?
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. They're always signs to look for. The musty smells that you get inside of your home, those are excellent signs. You have to remember that everything that you're smelling inside of your home, a good portion of that is coming from underneath your house. When we turn on that AC system, we're going to suck what's in that crawl space right up into our homes.
Yeah, and that brings up another good point. I don't know who has a better sense of smell, you or your wife, but in my house, my wife has a way better sense of smell. Who even has a better sense of smell than both of us is our mother-in-law. So if you want to know really what your house smells like, call your mother-in-law. Have her come out and take a smell. And I'm sure she'll be more than happy to share her opinion on what your house smells like. So anyway, that's a really good point. And I always talk about this in our videos. A dry dog smells better than a wet dog. A dry house smells better than a wet house. So just by lowering humidity, getting that crawl space or basement, if you got a flooded basement, anything like that you got going on, any type of moisture, a garage, if you keep your garage door open and you got a bonus room over your garage, like today, it's raining and has been raining for almost 15 hours. So it's humid outside. If you got your garage door cracked, it's humid in your garage. The rest of your house is getting humid. So we got to control this moisture, and it will control odor. So sorry about interrupting you, James. Go ahead and go forth.
Hey there, Michael Church, founder of Crawl Space Ninja. Do you have a crawl space or a basement, or perhaps your home is suffering from some type of indoor air quality issue? I want to encourage you to check out my book, Crawl Space Repair Myths Busted, available on Amazon. This is a great book for any homeowner that is concerned about indoor air quality, mold, moisture. Whether you're on a crawl space or a basement or a slab-built house, this is a great book, great information. I encourage you to check it out. Again, the name of the book is Crawl Space Repair Myths Busted, now available on Amazon.
I think those are great points. I mean, you can explore that with almost any structure that you're in, whether it be a slab set house or a crawl space house. Those humidity levels matter. My upstairs humidity is completely different than my downstairs humidity. So all those things matter, and it matters in any home that you're in. So yeah, you're absolutely going to pull that stuff through no matter where you are.
All right, very good. Well, let's get into the mold. Now, I used to shoot shotguns when I was younger, and that mold looks like somebody shot birdshot at the wood. You see that picture right there? It looks really funky on that piece of wood, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it almost looks like peppering on there.
Yeah.
And it is one of the main ones that we're looking for. We're looking for that. We're looking for the white coatings, the white sheens, as you see in 1.23 and 1.24.
Well, and then you go down to 1.11 and look at that gray. It's a totally different type of mold. It's like completely saturated that piece of wood. It's crazy how different molds are.
Well, and then you go to, and you step down even one more to the 1.12.
Yep.
And you see the darkness and the saturation in that wood. And what that's going to do over time, left unchecked, is it's absolutely going to start eating through that wood.
Yeah, that's right. So, one of the things people will ask me is, should they have their crawl space tested for mold? And, you can do that if you want to, but whether it's wood rot fungus or Aspergillus, penicillium, cladosporium, it doesn't really matter. If you as a homeowner want to do a test and pay someone to test it and see what type it is, great. But for us, we don't really need that, right, James?
No, and there's really not a lot of need to it. Number one, if it's mold, it's mold. And as you said, we're equal opportunity when it comes to killing mold. So we will kill it all. Doesn't matter what you're doing with Chatterham Stacky. Doesn't really matter what you're doing with. We're going to kill it all. So I personally do not believe that you need to have them tested. You know it's mold, it's mold. I've never seen a mold on wood or sticking to your house that is a good thing in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, and just so you know, you DIYers out there, if you do want to test it, we do have the DIY test kit where it's a surface sample where you can pull a swab out of our kit. You can swab the area, send it off to a lab. They'll tell you exactly what type of mold it is. In a crawl space, you usually don't want to do air samples because it's not considered a living space. So surface samples is typically what we would do in a crawl space. So let's keep going a little bit here, James. What did the homeowner get recommended that we do here?
If there's mold, we soda blast. If you're going to treat it, treat it. There is no sense in going halfway and going down there and spraying it with a spray that is absolutely not going to get it all the way off there. It may kill the surface mold that you have there, but I promise there's something alive. We need to get it off. First thing that we recommended, we need to get the debris cleaned out of there. Because there's a lot of it. So one of the next major things we need to do is we need to get all that insulation out. A couple of reasons why we want the insulation out. Insulation carries moisture, and it's not really something any other homeowner would really want setting against their wood. So we want to get that out of there. Plus, we want to be able to air seal that floor so that we can try to keep as much of this soda out of your house as possible. I'd love to tell you that we're going to keep every ounce of it out of there, but that would be a myth. We'll do our best, and we make sure that we're sealing things and that we're watching things while we're in the house to make sure it's not coming up as well. So that's a couple major things we're going to get started first. And then the next thing we want to do is to actually, once we've got it air sealed, cleaned out, everything ready, we've got those vents sealed, then we want to go ahead and start soda blasting. So, I mean, to go into a little bit of what we would do to soda blast, it's literally sandblasting your joist and your wood with soda, and we will peel off that mold off of there. From there, what we recommend is to get into treating it with an actual cleaner and then with a sealer.
That's right. One of the things that Well, there's many things that separate us from our competition, but as you mentioned before, pulling that insulation out from between the joists so that that wood can dry. That wood has to get dry. We're going to put a dehumidifier in there for a little bit, let that wood get dried out. We're going to air seal like you were talking about, and we leave the air seal of the subfloor in place. So it actually makes your home more energy efficient. Our mold treatment makes your home more energy efficient because we're air sealing the subfloor. Now that baking soda you're talking about, that is probably the greenest mold remediation product on the face of the planet. It's sodium bicarbonate. It's in your alkaline water. It's in your Tums, it's in your antacids. With enough of it, it's even in your laxatives, right? So it's a food grade, digestible product. But like you said, it's under high pressure, high PSI. So sometimes it will get into the house. But even if it does, it's not that big of a deal. It's easily cleaned up. Now, tell us, you mentioned a protectant. Tell us the important, after all the mold's gone, tell us the important of the protectant that you're talking about. Why is that a big deal?
Number one, a protectant is going to seal that wood to protect it against moisture. So what we're actually looking to do is to try to keep that wood dry. The protectant also enhances your warranty with Crawl Space Ninja as well. So there's two different types of protectants. There's an encapsulation and then there's a sealant. We actually use a sealant instead of an encapsulant because an encapsulant is basically a paint which encapsulate everything inside of there versus just sealing it against the actual mold.
Yeah, and for the homeowner, basically what we're looking at is a penetrant, protects the wood from the inside out. An encapsulant is basically just a sealant on the outside of the wood. And of course, we got the dehumidifier installed, but unfortunately, it's a mechanical device. So, there is a chance for that dehumidifier to fail. And it's nice to have that protectant on there in case that dehumidifier fails. And I always like to think of it this way. If I built a deck on my house, I need to treat that deck with something. I need to paint it. You could paint it or you could stain it. So what we're looking at is more like the stain where we're protecting it from the inside out versus the paint. So just to give that a perspective. Keep going with us, James. What else are we going to do here?
With the encapsulation, we are going to be putting a dehu in. We actually put two dehumidifiers in this house, two E80s because of the size. This one was absolutely a pre-dry. The floor joist wood moisture was 18%. Foundation wall moisture was 98% on this one. So we would absolutely come out 7 to 14 days prior to doing the work, place a dehumidifier, seal the vents to start getting this pre-dry. Once we were done doing all the remediation, from that point, we would go in and start encapsulating it. This one, we did put two AVS fans in. One of them was a whisper fan. We did remove, air sealed, and we did all the rim joist insulation as well.
Yeah, and two things real quick. Number one, if you don't know what the aviation fan is designed for, according to the EPA Indoor Air Plus program, they recommend that you shouldn't completely seal a crawl space. You should have some type of negative air blowing out a sealed crawl space, so that way you're putting the crawl space under negative pressure in case you have soil gases or radon. I've done a ton of videos about that if you want to look into that. But secondly, James, we saw that there was foundation wall moisture, but this homeowner chose not to do a waterproofing. And we did recommend one, but I just want to, if you don't mind, tell people why waterproofing is important whenever you've got that 90+% on that foundation wall. Why is it so important to make sure you invest in that waterproofing?
When you're running at 98% moisture on that exterior foundation wall, what that tells us is that there's a lot of water setting up against your exterior foundation. It becomes a very hard situation. So if you've got water coming in, plus the fact that water is one of the most damaging elements we have, water gets through where it wants to get through. I can talk about waterproofing all day long, but what I actually do is manage water. I move water from one place to another where I want it to go. You don't want it on your foundation. You don't want it sitting inside your house because it is going to erode the soil underneath, and you are going to end up with foundation problems. Encapsulation is not inexpensive. Foundation repair is expensive. In comparison, it is very expensive.
Well, not only that, but if for some reason that he chose not to waterproof and there's enough water that gets in there to float that plastic or to get mud on top of that plastic, well, now we got a whole different scenario. We got to go in there, rip the plastic out, and then waterproof it, and then he's got to pay to get new plastic installed. So it's one of those, scenarios where you may have 10 years of no issue, and then we get one of those 100-year rains, which we seem to get now every 2 or 3 years now for some reason. And then it floods the crawl space. So if you're looking to have a worry-free crawl space, that's really what we're trying to do. But at the same time, we can't make a homeowner buy something they don't want to buy. So all we can do is recommend. And in this scenario, we recommended the interior waterproofing system or the water management system, like James is talking about, where we're managing the water, but they chose not to do that. So if this is your house, this is your forever home, you might want to invest in that water management system on top of the encapsulation. So very good, James. Well, recently, this was back in when was this? 2023, I think, when we did this job. No, 2024. And then recently he had us come out. I don't know if you saw that. We sent somebody else out there to inspect, and they had us put some floor jacks in. Whenever you have wet wood and you dry it out, that damp wood starts to shrink a little bit.
Very true.
And you could have some settling or whatever, because, whenever homes are built, they're built wet. The wood's wet when they're built, So if you built a home 20 years ago, it takes a long time for that home to dry out, especially given the seasons of, rain and everything else. So whenever you have a conditioned crawl space, that means the crawl space is dry all the time. The wood doesn't fluctuate like a open or vented crawl space. So I'm wondering if it would be either the soil, water, which is a great point that you brought up, or maybe the wood dried out. So, but regardless, you always want to put post jacks in after you encapsulate the crawl space, because you want to make sure that everything's dry before you start putting those in. And I've done a lot of videos about that too. So anything to add to this one, James, that you want to talk about?
The gentleman's been with us for quite some time. He's serviced it with us since he put the system in.
Yep, that's another good point. Tell us about the maintenance that somebody may want to do whenever they get their crawl space encapsulated.
So one of the number one things I see when I go back to people's houses, if they're having a problem, is that their dehu's has not been maintenance, has not been serviced. The condensate pump has never been cleaned out. So what happens is those rubber lines coming out of it that are feeding the water out end up clogged, and they get hardened, and nothing else is going to pass through them. The condensate pump quits working. The dehumidifier starts dumping the water out on the floor. Eventually, that starts backing up to where it goes back into the dehumidifier. And next thing you know, we get the phone call, my dehumidifier is not working. Dehumidifiers are pieces of mechanical equipment. It's just like a furnace in your home. They require service. Every 6 months, they require a filter change, and they require pan treat put into our actual condensate pump. What that does is that pan treat actually cleans everything out of that condensate pump and flushes it through as it flushes out. So it keeps those lines clean. It keeps them fresh so that the water continues to move freely through there. It also keeps that water from backing up into the dehumidifier. Obviously, a dirty filter means you get less airflow. Less airflow in time is going to absolutely break the machine. When we buy a car, we maintain. You spend $20,000 on a car, you put it through maintenance. You change the oil. You spend $20,000 on your crawl space, we forget about it. Got to maintain it.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. The homeowner can, of course, maintenance it themselves.
Sure.
But if they get on Crawl Space Ninja's maintenance program, not only do we take care of it for them so they don't have to go in the crawl space, we're going to do a corner-to-corner inspection, and we extend the warranty of the dehumidifier and the sump pump or whatever it is we're maintaining down there. So you can have a lifetime dehumidifier warranty on our Crawl Space maintenance program. Imagine if you bought a car, and when you took it to the dealership and you paid them to change the oil, and they gave you a lifetime warranty on the car. I don't think people would be selling their cars if they had a lifetime warranty on the car very often. So anyway, it's a great program that we have. And like you said, that filter, if you don't change it out, it's like sucking peanut butter through a straw eventually.
Right.
And that dehumidifier fan will mess up, just like your HVAC fan. If you leave that furnace filter in there and it starts to cave in because you've not changed it, that HVAC fan can burn up and the dehumidifier fan can burn up. So great information, James. I appreciate you sharing that.
Absolutely. Well, and like you said, with that lifetime warranty, where else are you going to find somebody that's going to warranty a piece of equipment that we know is going to eventually have to be replaced?
Yeah, it's a great warranty, I tell you. So, all right. Well, I guess that's all we got to say about this job, James. I'm Michael Church of Crawl Space Ninja here with James Derry, and we hope you make it a happy and blessed day, and we'll see you later.